Hello everybody and welcome to Forever Sports. And today we're going to be talking about the story about Johan Ackermann set to return to South Africa. A story that's kind of been quite a few months in the making, really, and something which I think is going to be very interesting to see how this plays out long term and where he's, for example, is going to begin, but more to the point, where he's going to end up in terms of his career in a few years' time and what the long term strategy is here of SA Rugby, who are currently overhauling all the structures of SA Rugby. And bringing Alan Ackermann back is going to be a massive part in that, in terms of getting the best sort of rugby coaches' IQ back into the country and feeding into the country's systems. Before we talk exactly about what his role is potentially going to be, as well as where he might go, please do smash a like on the video. Please do subscribe to the channel as well. So there was a report that came out on Sunday that said that SA Rugby have reportedly signed a deal with Johan Ackermann, which will see him return to South Africa as a consultant in January. Now, apparently, he will link up with the SA under-20s, which are now going to be coached by Kevin Foote. And he is going to be working specifically on their lineouts and more defense, basically. Now, in theory, at this stage, is supposed to be coming back as a consultant into the SA Rugby structures. I do think at this stage, for example, Malusi and Teto have been added to that side. It's going to be one of the strongest junior Bok coaching staffs we've had in a long time, and I really like the fact that we are taking the SA under-20s seriously, because there needs to be a better pathway. And for me, it's not just so much about the coaching itself; it's about the player identification. Are we sure that the players being selected for these camps, for these teams, are the right players? Because there is a history, for example, of favoritism or structures not necessarily working, and not necessarily saying player favoritism, but school favoritism, for example, and rumors about trial matches or for example teams being selected before trials even happen, and teams having basically a squad on the or coach having a squad on the list before the season even begins, in terms of players who they think are going to play. Now, the nice thing is these days, the footage is available. You've got the data to look at different players and different matches, rather than just, for example, relying on having to go and watch and having to get feedback from different coaches from different regions and the like. You've also got, for example, the under-19 academy camp, which kicked off over the weekend with a lot of these coaches. So in terms of Jan Ackermann's role, he will start, as I said, apparently as a consultant. He'll be a national team consultant starting in January. So apparently it's a junior Bok role at the moment, but does that not maybe open the door for him at a later stage to move into the Bok management, for example, or the women management? The fact of the matter is that he'll be on SA Rugby's payroll come January. Not on payroll, for example, he's a consultant, but he'll be on their radar, and he'll be a resource they can tap into. And again, we talk about wanting to get the best structures in place. Having Johan Ackermann in the SA Rugby structures will be massive. He's obviously, we all know from the Lions, doesn't maybe have as good of a time as he would have liked at Gloucester. I think he would have liked to have won a bit more, but he had a good time there. And he has just finished promoting a side from the Japanese second league into the top league, where he was then replaced by Greg Laidlaw. Now, he's basically been quite open about the fact that he wants to come back to South Africa. Now, the problem is there's not a massive amount of coaching jobs currently available. John Plumtree is, won a trophy last season, won the Currie Cup now, is starting to get things right. At the Stormers, you got Jake White with the Bulls just lost out in the final. And so John Dobson's the only real sort of coach under pressure, because you've got Ivan van Rooyen, who's doing really good work with the Lions. So if John Dobson were to have gone, for example, Jan Ackermann will be a very interesting possibility for the Stormers. But I also think that at the moment in his career, he wants to see himself in a national setup. And I personally think that he'll start with a junior box. I think that he'll very likely become then a consultant for the women's team. You've got a World Cup next year. So you've got an SM20 side, then you've got a Women's World Cup next year. Swayze de Bruyn's kind of the head coach of that women's side. We all know how long back they to go back. Ackermann and Swayze de Bruyn, they built that sort of Lions dynasty. And moving forward after that, I think that he's someone that will start to give feedback to the box and will potentially start to be involved in the Springbok setup come 2027, because he's somebody with a couple of different ideas. Now, obviously, you've got to make sure that he's going to be able to work within the current Bok coach setup, which I think is really, really good. But if he is someone that can add value, then they're definitely going to look at it. That's what Rassie Erasmus is very good at doing, identifying anybody that can contribute value and getting them involved in the setup. So what we do know is that at the moment he's a consultant, I think, for Japan, so he's very much up for hire, and he's been very open about the fact he wants to come back to South Africa. So we'll have to wait for an official announcement potentially. Hopefully we'll see him in the structures as soon as January. But in general, just having him back in the country would be a really big step, because he is one of the best South African coaches out there, and you want to have somebody like him within the system. Let me know what you think down in the comments below. Please do smash a like on the video. Please do subscribe to the channel as well. Thank you very much for watching. My name is Steve. I'll chat to you soon.